welcome to Steppe Gold's live investment summit today, hosted by Six. We're joined today by Fatah Osher, President and CEO of Steppe Gold, Jeremy South, the company's Senior Vice President and CFO, as well as Anil Warach, their Executive Vice President. The team will walk us through a company presentation, and after, our presenters will be accepting questions. You can submit your questions using the Q&A panel found on the right-hand side of your screen. As always, this summit is being recorded and will be available to watch afterwards on Six.com. Now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Fatah to kick things off.
Thank you, and thank you very much for it. I'll quickly go through the highlights of last year and plans for this year. 2020 wasn't an easy year, but it was an excellent and transformational year for Steppe Gold. Since April last year, Steppe has produced over 33,154 ounces of gold and 5,563 and made $52 million in sales revenue. Total cash flow for the last 12 months was about $82.5 million US. That's including equity raise and gold to power debt. Total costs for the last 12 months were $48.8 million US, and the company closed the year with positive $32.6 million US in the bank. It's a huge increase compared to 2019, where we had only 650 grand in the bank. So the main factors for the positive cash flows were, number one would be we commenced the gold production, and the average gold price was $1,800 US. We've estimated the price as $1,300 when we did the feasibility reports during the IPO two years ago. And the second factor would be we generated $24.7 million US by issuing new shares, debentures, and debt. And this third main factor for the positive cash flow were because of this COVID-19 situation, we had a one-time tax exemption for $7.2 million US. So with all these factors and overall team's effort and shareholder support, the company's market cap has been increased from $60 million to $150 million US today. And yeah, overall it was a really good year. So as for 2021, this year, the company is forecasting to produce approximately 50,000 ounces of gold and 150,000 ounces of silver. And we estimate that we're going to generate about a little over $90 million US in the revenue. Cash costs we are estimating to be $560 US. And at this stage, the company have a strategy to preserve as much as cash as possible and continue a steady and stable production. In 2021, this year, Steppe plans to spend about $2 to $5 million on exploration programs on exciting UK project, and also we're looking to acquire interest in certain new projects. But the most significant milestone for this year would be to finance and commence CIL plant construction for the phase 2 of the ATO Mine. We plan and hope we get financing from external sources to preserve our company's cash balance. So in order to do that, the company is talking to several local commercial banks and international lenders. And we're also talking to Central Bank of Mongolia regarding the financing for the phase 2 with the government initiated gold to program. So this process is discussions is taking place. So if we achieve this goal, the cash balance will looking to increase by 30% by end of the year, and most importantly, preserve the cash and start the funding for the phase 2 program. So this would be the main factor for our main goal, to have 150,000 ounces of gold equivalent production in 2 years. So the final slide, the next, okay. So far this year, in the first quarter of this year, we announced the resource update, which doubled our previous resource to 2.45 million ounces of gold equivalent. This supports our planned production profile of 150,000 equivalent ounces per year, and the life of the mine has been extended to a 10-year plus mine life. Secondly, we just purchased a new crusher for the phase 2 program expansion. New crusher will have a capacity of 1,000 tons per hour, which is going to increase our current rate capacity to more than 3 to 4 times. And it's going to be a fully spot with the mining rates. And we believe this crusher will increase our current crushing and stacking capacity dramatically and drastically and increase our annual production. So we are commencing the construction work for the foundation work this month and expect the new crusher to be operational in late June or early July. So currently we do have about 400,000 tons of already on a all ready to be crushed and stacked. The third step we're doing right now is a bankable feasibility study being completed in Canada, and it's expected to be finished and completed by this summer. The DRA Global is working on it. And while we're also waiting on that, we're also talking with the Mongolian management companies and other international companies with regard to with the commencement of the phase 2 program. We're also talking with the Chinese and international vendors regarding the flotation and CIL plant. So this year also the company is doing the listing on the Mongolian Stock Exchange. We are submitting our prospectus today, actually submit all our prospectus to Mongolian Stock Exchange today and Financial Regulatory Commission. So we are only going to issue 1% new shares to the market. So this would be very helpful to engage more and more Mongolian stakeholders in the company and projects. As for infrastructure, power and infrastructure, state is preparing technical documentation to get the permit to connect the company's ATO Mine to the state grid power system. This is also taking a good progress. So yeah, so overall, we believe this year will be much better than the last year, and we will do our best to accomplish them. So yeah, Jeremy and Anil, we have more stuff.
Okay, thanks, Bata. Good introduction. So I just want to go through some of the financials. Hopefully everyone's already seen these. When we filed on March 31st, we did March 30th. We did file our 43-101 and our AIF that day. So as you look to update yourselves on Steppe Gold, please look at the 43-101, which is now being filed, and the AIF, which provides a good summary of the resource update. So revenue, sort of net revenue, essentially attributable revenue to Steppe Gold was 52.1 million in 2020. That was attributable for essentially 9 months of production. We started production in April of 2020. Tailed off a little bit as the colder weather hit in December of last year, and then we paused production in the first quarter as planned, and certainly planned to ensure maintenance on all the equipment as well. So sales sales were slightly lower than production, at around 32,000 ounces and about 14,000 of silver. Obviously, if you can do the math, we've got a significant silver inventory, which is not booked as it's a byproduct. Average, obviously, the company benefited from strong gold prices in the year. Silver prices are not, certainly were not material to revenue in 2020. This is really sort of most sensitive to gold, so we enjoyed decent gold prices, particularly in Q2 and Q3. One of the most pleasing things on the financial side in 2020 was our cost control, particularly at the mine site. Of operating income from operating cash flow, essentially for mine operations, was 32.6 million. So, very significant margins at this project. Coming down to cost control, close management, and obviously safe mining. EBITDA, after taking account of G&A, was 24.4 million, close to 25 million. So EBITDA margins are around 50% before expensed exploration, and that's I think a great result as we start our production at this project. Often heap leaches can be a little bit spotty in the first year or two, but we enjoyed a good year, a strong year for cash flow, and certainly that was able give us that solid cash balance at the end of the year. Butter referred to 32.6 million of gross cash, bank debt of 10.5, so net cash of around 22 million US at the end of the year. Key drivers in that, as I mentioned, besides cost control, really the benefiting from 2 years of mining, so being able to get our costs in line, get our staffing in line, and we did enjoy the benefit of being able to draw significantly from the local community in our headcount. Cash costs for the year ended 607,000 ounces. We expect that to come down as we continue to bring operational improvements into at the mine site, and obviously additional ounces. That there are some fixed costs in that cash cost number, so there will be, I think we're guiding to $550, $560 dollars per ounce on the oxide. We don't have data for the sulfide at this point. All-in sustaining costs before expense explorations was around $840 per ounce sold, and that was again slightly higher than we would guide for in 2021 on higher production. Obviously, with higher ounces, your fixed cost absorption is more efficient. So we expect to sort of see 750 in 2021, 2022, assuming we hit those that 50 to 60,000 ounces of production. So that's those are sort of the high points. Balance sheet was strong, obviously through the year. Added to the PP&E. Depreciation did kick in, so there was a net decline in PP&E. But we continued to build the leach pad. The leach pad now is essentially all built out. All the cells have been constructed, and we're now loading and stacking onto cell 3. Another decent year on the mining and stacking side. We did have some crusher problems early in the year, and they've been now resolved. And as Bato referenced, we're looking forward to a very strong year at the crushing circuit as we bring online this new crusher that is really for phase 2, but has the benefit of significantly accelerating our mining and our stacking rates at the heap leach pad, probably into the back end of 2021. So I would expect our 2021 forecast to be a little bit back end loaded. We had very modest production in Q1, and as Bato mentioned, we have recommenced leaching recently. In terms of guidance, I think Butter's spoken to a little bit to production and gold and silver. Again, that's going to be driven by to some degree by the stacking rates coming up in the second half, which we feel pretty confident about. All-in sustaining and cash costs for the next 2 years at that $750 per ounce on AISC and $550, $560 on cash costs. Again, to reiterate, the focus is on keeping a strong cash balance. Depending on on the summer 21 lending program, we would look to probably keep in that sort of $30 to $50 million plus of cash on the balance sheet, and that obviously helps us with securing the international syndicate at the back end of this year and into the first quarter. CapEx estimates, we get asked this question a lot. We don't have that number now down. We're working on a sort of $125 million sort of estimate at this point. It may be a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but that's sort of what we're using for budgeting purposes right now. And about 20 to 30 million of that will be expended in 2021. We're obviously $5 million for the crushing circuit. That's being financed by a $3 million loan from a Mongolian bank, and the balance will likely be sourced through the Mongolian lending syndicate in the summertime. We may increase that budget depending on how things go in the second half of 2021. the project finance plans obviously are advancing, and we're working with all our sort of major stakeholders, including our streaming partner and the various lenders. There is strong demand for dollar asset risk in Mongolia, and that has certainly given us good support. As the largest gold producer in Mongolia, as becoming a reasonably high profile company, we certainly are benefiting from the risk profile that we present to lenders in Mongolia, and having very active discussions, so supportive discussions from both the Bank of Mongolia, which is closely involved in facilitating policy in lending in Mongolia. The international syndicate, it's reasonably early days, but we continue to engage meaningfully with international lenders as they build familiarity with our company, and that would likely form the balance of the debt facility into late 2021, early 22. So those are sort of the highlights, and I'll hand over to Anil.
Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks everyone for joining this spring update for Steppe. So, as many of you know, just under a year ago, we started production for the first time ever during obviously a global pandemic. So, as you can imagine, the company is quite happy with what we were able to achieve last year in a very tough time. I guess going back a couple more years, in 2018, we listed in a very tough time when the capital markets were not open. We raised $25 million and being the only IPO in 2018 on the main board. So I guess we're used to working against the grain here, and in tough times we still get things done. And that's the importance of having a local team like we do, not relying on expats to run your business, allowed us to bring production online and successfully and profitably last year. During that process, we also updated our resource. So today we're sitting at 2.45 million ounces, down to only about 400 meters. So all 4 deposits, ATO 1, 2, 4, and Munk, still remain open at depth and also along trend. And today, our new drill program, we focus on stepping out drilling for the first time ever on this property. So all of our drilling to date have been focused on extensional and infill drilling where we've had success. So where we've had success is extending ATO 4. So we've increased the size of ATO 4. We actually doubled the size of ATO 4, proving the former model wrong, and doubling the size. The additional ounces have also come from the Munk deposit, putting a maiden resource on Munk and adding about 425,000 ounces, mainly fresh ore ounces, to our balance sheet. Increasing our measured and indicated resources by over 100% to now have about 1.4 million ounces of measured and indicated ounces, as well as increasing our silver measured and indicated ounces to about 20.5 million ounces, previously around 4 million ounces. So a significant increase in the silver content as well. So I think that's, given the circumstances, we've had a great win here in minimal, I would say, exploration and focus here. So that's certainly shows the market that we can back up our plans to expand into a phase 2, running at a higher run rate of 150,000 ounces on a gold equivalent basis. And we think starting with about 10 years mine life at that point, in about 2 years from now. The luxury that we have is that we have a producing asset from surface that can continue to produce should it take longer than 2 years. If we have any delays because of procurement or COVID or construction delays, we can still produce and generate our own cash flow for another quarter, another year, if things did take longer. So I think over the last 12 months, we have achieved quite a lot. We started last year with coverage from only one bank, Haywood Securities. Haywood Securities still covers us with a $4 target. We've added Stifel GMP in fall last year. Stifel is a new, obviously, bank and partner of ours, and we're obviously one of their top picks for this quarter. So it's a great endorsement to bring out a new bank and new coverage in that manner. We have fundamental research in Stonegate also that allow us to get out our message to the retail market that will not be able to receive the banking research. And we also have Laurentian and Cormark, who have put out either watch list or smaller, not unofficial research as well. So we're certainly growing our bank coverage, and I think that will continue to grow in the future quarters. So we should expect maybe one or two more banks in the next 1 to 2 quarters to pick up coverage for the stock. So further endorsement of what we're trying to accomplish here. In terms of investors over the last 12 months, we've been successful to add 2 major shareholders. Eric Sprott last summer and Fidelity International over the last few months have picked up on market and post the resource update have doubled the position to just less than 5%. I think you'll also see that institutional ownership grow over the next few months as well as we move to the BFS and expansion into phase 2, as well as the back of the exploration restart, I guess, on ATO and Mung, as well as the start of UK imminently. So I just want to reiterate what we've accomplished and kind of where we started. We bought an asset for $20 million US and we built it for circa $20 million US. That's now in production. We've listed our company in the US on the OTCQX markets. We have a strong balance sheet, which allows us to be much more aggressive this year than last year. We've shown we can execute, and we have a strong pathway to grow here through exploration in the coming months on both properties. So we're going to start UK exploration, we think, in the coming weeks. We're mobilizing a drill rig as we speak, and within a few weeks, we're hoping to start exploration there for the first time ever. So that's a very exciting project that has never been drilled, and we'll finally get down to drilling. On the back of that, we'll have our targets identified for restart of exploration at ATO and Munk, and I think early summer we'll be able to start a drilling program there, both at ATO at depth, where all 4 deposits remain open at depth, but also now, as I mentioned before, stepping out for the first time ever, and hopefully we have some new discoveries or satellite deposits we can uncover. We've also confirmed the backing we have in country. Over the last 12, 14 months, we've received endorsement and capital from within Mongolia, from the sovereign bank, new established sovereign fund, development bank of Mongolia, and then later on in the year, through the Gold 2 program, the $10.5 million US that we received. So that's the major update so far, and where we think we're going in very short order this year. And I think now is a good time to open up to Q&A. This is really a Q&A format that we want to handle as many questions as possible. So Cam, if you can kick off any questions, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. So we've had a number of live questions come in during the presentation, and so I'll just start them off. Feel free to answer any of you that know. So Nigel Reed asks, is the current choke point our crushing capacity? If so, I guess the new crusher will fix that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll speak to that first. Anyone else can add into it. So that was, I would say, a choke point last summer. So as we advanced production and actually announced commercial production in July, certainly that was a bottleneck that we've dealt with now. So even today, our crushing capacity, we're probably on track for 100,000 tons crushed per month. So that's actually as planned, as per the original life of mine plan. So I think we've actually addressed it. The new crusher that's coming in will certainly help and assist, and can actually increase potential crushing and stacking rates, but the bottleneck has already been addressed. So I think that's where we're at now.
Great. He also asked, so another question from Nigel Reed, what would be the normal overall effective tax rate? Are we aware of any 2021 tax reliefs or holidays?
Let Jeremy answer.
Yeah, no, we're paying 25% tax this year. I mean, there may be an additional some accommodation because Mongolia, obviously, we're not out of this pandemic. That was a pandemic-related tax break. We got a little bit lucky, to be honest, with our cash flow, the timing of our cash flow relative to the timing of the pandemic. But we aren't budgeting for any exemption in 2021. We may get some accommodation, but we're not banking on it.
Awesome. Harry Sanders asked right around the same time, so if there's any overlap, you can point that out. If there's anything new, absolutely. But Harry Sanders asked, can you kindly remind us regarding 2021 whether you'll pay Mongolian corporate income tax on the full amount offsetable losses? what is the tax rate? Also, at the projected production and revenue, what will be the streaming payments in 2021?
Well, I mean, reasonably straightforward. I mean, the tax rate is 25%. We expect to pay 25%. We do have some loss carry forwards. They're reasonably modest, and we are always, attempting to ensure that we have a tax effective, structure in place, and we're working on that. But we are. I think it's fair to budget 25% on taxable income would be the way to model it. In terms of triple flag, we stream 25% of our gold and 50% of our silver. The silver's, I guess if we hit our silver numbers, that's probably a couple $1 million on the if we just to use a round number, if we do 60,000 ounces in 2021, we'll essentially stream 15,000 to triple flag. So we deliver ounces, not dollars, to them. So the way to look at it is essentially there's an attributable ounces of 45,000 ounces to Steppe Gold in 2021.
Okay. Albert Sung asks, what is the budget for UK project drilling this year?
So I think we're going to start with about 10,000 meter drill program. So that's roughly about $1.5 million. And we think we can grow that. So on the back of success at UK, we can mobilize a second drill rig potentially later on in the summer in the year, and we can maybe crank that up to about 20,000 meters. So currently we're budgeted 10,000 meters per property actually, which could double. So 10,000 meters at ATO Mine, 10,000 meters at UK. On the back of success and our ability to continue hopefully more aggressively, we could double that and go up to 20,000 meters on each property. And I think that's where you saw the exploration budget ranging from 2 to 5 because of that.
Awesome. Harry also asked, when it comes to mining ore, am I correct that you now have a significant ore stockpile that couldn't be placed on the leach pads yet? Will there be a point that you will stop adding to the ore stockpile to catch up? Would this also be dependent on timing of construction of the CIL plant?
Well, I guess I can confirm on the ROM pad. Yeah, we have over 420,000 tons sitting there. So yes, a lot more can go on the pads very quickly and process. So that's a big plus for us. In terms, what was the second question?
I believe will there be a point that you will stop adding to the ore stockpile to catch up? Would this also be dependent on timing of construction of the CIL plant?
No, I don't think so. I can just jump in. I mean, we can expand the ROM pad. It's a run of mine pad. That's what they call it, a ROM pad. As Neil mentioned, it's about 420, 440. We can certainly go higher than that. With our crusher now sort of crushing at planned rates, and we continue to do blasting work as we go deeper, we don't see an issue with having to stop crushing. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why we're buying the new crusher in order to bring that ROM pad down a little bit. But we're quite comfortable with the current ROM pad.
That's awesome. What are the drivers of cash cost change from $607 to $550, 2020 to 2021, apart from higher 60% production?
Well, the main thing is a reasonably small element of fixed cost that will be absorbed in that higher denominator, essentially. Plus some efficiencies in mining. That there are. Most of your costs and most of your cash costs, most of your mine site costs are variables, but some of them are fixed.
Right. How are grades and sorry, Neil?
No, go ahead.
How are grades and recovery rates, leaching times progressing when compared to original assumptions? Any change in assumptions in 2021?
I don't think so. I'll jump in first, and Jeremy can add if anything. But our modeled ultimate recovery rates are 70% on the gold and 40% on silver. So usually you get, obviously this is a heap leach, so you don't get your recoveries in the first year or in the first 2 quarters. It can happen over time. It can happen over 2, 3, or 4 years, or it can happen over next year. But I think usually you get about 50% of the recoveries in the first year. I think we saw that on the gold. And we'll capture that remaining 20% over time, and same on silver. So, in fact, we think our ultimate recoveries may be higher than the model, 70% on gold and 40% on silver.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Cool. Nigel Reed asks, how are the worker and family community benefits programs going? Has COVID prevented the company from substantially delivering on such?
Butter?
Yeah. We have signed the cooperation agreement with the local province regarding social programs for 5 years, and we continue to doing that. We're still providing scholarships to the students, and based on the contract, we are cooperating with the province, and we continue to do all the works as promised in the contract. So during this pandemic period, the company helped with the delivering the free masks and first aid kits and so on. So we are helping each other. Yeah.
I think it's important to note also COVID, so we don't overlook that. I think today 70% of our staff are already vaccinated. It should be 100% in the next 2-3 weeks, Bata.
Yeah.
And in country, I think they're already 20% vaccinated, and the whole country should be vaccinated by June, July. So quite impressive in terms of execution compared to some other countries we know.
Yeah. So in terms of vaccination, 1/3 of total population in UB, capital city, is already vaccinated after the first shot. So yes, by June, everybody should be vaccinated. Yeah.
Great. We did have some questions come in via email ahead of the summit, so I'll move to those now. In regards to the key 2021 dates that you talked about, do you expect to stick to those dates, or do you foresee any delays?
Yeah, at the moment, I think for 2021, what we've just forecasted, and we're on track for. So we have started leaching as just a few days ago, just like we did last year. We started leaching at the end of March. So we started leaching. So for now, I think our production forecast remains the same, and we'll certainly be, I think, on top of any adjustments as we see that. So I think on our next update, we can reiterate what our forecast is, and if there are any delays or changes, we'll certainly update the market accordingly. For now, we see no change, but as you know, COVID is changing daily. That borders are still closed. Lockdowns still exist in both Mongolia and everywhere else. So it's very tough to forecast and stick to that in a COVID world. But as of now, our cash flow, our production forecast, our feasibility delivery, our exploration starting, and construction and debt, I guess, packages and construction starting in the summer won't change as of now. So those are our current forecasts. I think we're sticking with it.
Awesome. So your team is working towards the Mongolian exchange listing. Is this meant to be a capital raise or a financing tactic?
Not at all. As Bata mentioned, and he can jump in too, but we're only issuing 1% of our shares, so it's an immaterial raise. It's a requirement to raise obviously capital as part of it. So there's no dilution in the. It's not to raise money or dilute shareholders at these levels. We don't like raising money at these levels. We're shareholders. We own 20% plus of the company as management and board team, so we're heavily aligned with our shareholders. So we don't unnecessarily want to dilute. By any means, but it's a way to obviously open up additional shares to that market, and at that point it allows connectivity to our market. So now they can now purchase shares on market and all of it. So it's not a capital raise. It's very minimal, as Bata mentioned. 1% of our shares will issue. New shares will issue, and it's just a way to obviously open up the market there where there is a lot of demand for locals to want to own businesses in their own backyard. And right now it's very tough for them to do so. And I think we mentioned before, it's also another way for our employees to actually see, we have 200 plus employees probably today, and they'll continue to grow as we go into phase 2 expansion. They're owners of the company as well through our RT. program and to actually see the value of their own shares on the market. So, did I miss anything else about that?
Yeah, it's not about the raising capital. It's more about engaging local people, local Mongolian stakeholders, because we've been receiving a lot of requests asking us how they can buy shares, especially the smaller amounts. It's very difficult for Mongolian shareholders to invest in the smaller amounts, sending bank wire transfers to Canada, waiting for the next day, and so on and so on. So we just want to be able, our employees and other people involved in the project, to be able to easily buy and sell shares in the Mongolian Stock Exchange. It's also a policy from the stock exchange, and plus they're asking for the specially listed mining companies to be able to be tradable in the Mongolian Stock Exchange. So it's benefits everyone. And more of a market society, we want to get more exposure in Mongolia.
Great. We had another live question come in while we were answering some of these other questions from Dr. Per Michelson. How's the Mongolian IPO progressing?
Yeah, so we just submitted our prospectus to Mongolian Stock Exchange, and now the Financial Regulatory Commission is going to go through the documents, and I think it's going to take about 1 month, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 30 days. So we should be listed in May.
If everything goes through. So
yeah,
wonderful.
We do have an underwriter in place, so the author should be coming.
Steppe Gold continues to seemingly be undervalued, and research analysts and industry influencers have also highlighted that fact. Even though you've delivered on everything, what else do you think you need to do to get more investors to see your value proposition?
Well, we're doing things like this, obviously, regularly. We do institutional meetings through our bank coverage as well on an ongoing basis. A lot of it has to do with the education process. So you have the people not understanding Mongolia and the risks or the perceived risk. When they hear things about Rio Tinto and Oyu Tolgoi, they think that also has to do with us, and it doesn't. So I think there's some of that element. And then, I think in the last couple of years, while we're building a mine, is an execution story. Can we build? Can we get a permit? Can we produce? And then people were focused on the short mine life of the heap leach without looking beyond that, which we've now shown with the resource update. So I think this resource update was, I think, a good checkbox to show the scale potential, to show that we do have the ability to grow to a much larger production profile and mine in phase 2. So I think now that people will start paying more attention. They're looking at our cash balance and how that could grow on its own. So no need for equity will certainly help close that gap. It's just more. Now it's more marketing, and I think the final piece will be that bankable feasibility study. Will probably really bring it home. At that point, it'll be kind of undeniable that we have a permitted expansion project that's already underway, and now you have a BFS to back it up. I think that'll be the final kind of piece of the puzzle to kind of close the valuation gap. And hopefully, there's some sizzle and expiration in between all that. So, we're certainly going to close the valuation gap. We can't control when and how it happens. All we can do is continue to market, update shareholders, get in front of new prospective investors, and continue to deliver on what we've just said for this year.
Great. Harry Sanders also asks, how are you thinking about acquisitions or new tenements? Or are you happy with your current portfolio and focus?
So, certainly we have a pipeline of our own that allows us to grow without acquiring any other assets, which is a fantastic position to be in, given that we have production, we have expansion, and we still have exploration on both properties to grow them significantly. So we don't need to buy anything to grow. Certainly, we want to look at opportunities. Spot mentioned we are looking at other opportunities in country, and so we're looking at exploration, advanced exploration, and potential development assets in country. And at the right price and right time, if it makes sense, we're certainly going to do so. And going back to what I mentioned before, we're not looking to dilute at these levels. If we have to use our currency for some of these transactions, we'd rather wait for that re-rating beforehand. But if there's opportunities to use some of our cash, small amounts, to lock up assets, we'll certainly do so. We do have that advantage of execution. We're the only guys who have built a mine in the last couple of years. We are in production. We have a strong balance sheet. We have strong backers. We have strong support in country, and we have I would say, a first mover type advantage, given the country is still pretty closed until this vaccination is complete in the summer. Maybe there's some less competition internationally, so we want to take advantage of that. So we're certainly aggressive in the background, trying to lock up assets. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Bata?
Yeah, I mean, we received quite a lot of proposals from the local Mongolian companies willing to cooperate, especially with the listed company, with the public company. So we always we always check and review all the projects, essentially. And we're focusing on mostly on the Darnot, where the ATO Mine, and also in the Biohunger province, where our Exploration UK project is located. So we're trying to mostly focus where we at, looking at the neighboring blocks and neighboring licenses and so on. So yeah, but we are definitely going to, I mean, we're happy to expand, yeah. We're always looking for the new opportunities, yeah.
Great. I think this might be in that vein. Do you have any big plans for your silver, given the recent trends? You seem to have indicated that recently.
Yeah, well, obviously silver has increased. We have over 20 million ounces of silver in the measure indicated, and again, we think that will grow. So certainly silver is becoming more material to our production and our cash flow as we grow. As Jeremy mentioned, we have 150,000 ounces production probably of silver this year. We have an inventory that we're sitting on as well. That's I don't know the exact amount of ounces that we're sitting on. Jeremy can confirm that, but
it's about 22,000. Yeah.
Okay. So we have certainly some more silver inventory sitting in country right today that we could monetize at the right time. But as you move to phase 2, you're going to see your recoveries go up. So certainly silver production will grow and become more meaningful to us. So as you know, Mung has a lot of silver as well. So yeah, we are a gold and silver producer, and that silver content probably will grow.
Yeah, 20 million ounces at $25 is a material number. So $500 million. So that's it's going to be a material number for our phase 2 project for sure.
Thanks. You recently started trading on the OTCQX. Are you seeing any uptake with the US investors? How are you planning on attracting more US-based investors to the Steppe Gold story?
Sure. Yes. I mean, we just started trading a few weeks ago. Maybe not into the best market for golds, but that's okay. I mean, we were already trading probably 7 figures on the pink sheet. So we have seen some volume uptick from that. We did a virtual OTC event just last week, and we had some one-on-one meetings from that and follow-on meetings as well. And we're actually looking at growing our banking coverage through US channels as well. So as you may know, Stifel Nicholas in the US has a very big reach there. They have a retail arm, and the Canadian bank side here that covers us now gets to distribute all mining research through that channel in the coming months. So that's certainly going to grow, where you have circa half a trillion worth of assets, I believe, $500 billion or something like that, in retail hands through their channels. And we're still talking to other banks in the US who have retail arms as well that can help grow that. Certainly, and any marketing we're doing is pushed out to the US as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I think that's all the questions we have right now. So I'd like to thank everyone who submitted questions, as well as Bata, Jeremy, and Neil. Great presentation, guys. If you guys didn't get a chance to get your questions answered, or if you think of one after the summit, we'll be sending out a short survey where you can leave your contact information, and the Steppe Gold team will reach out to you directly. You can also find more information, of course, at steppegold.com. I'll hand it back to you guys for the final word on the summit.
Great. Thanks, Cam. And thank you, everyone, again, for joining this update. Hopefully, in a couple months, we can do another one and track our progress from where we are today to what we've achieved again. I think we have a great story to tell here. Last year was, I would say, a difficult year, but we would say successful for the team. And this year is going to be even bigger for us, given that we have a stronger balance sheet. Quite a lot of milestones and catalysts ahead of us, and we appreciate everyone's support. And please do reach out if you have any questions. we're always available to speak to shareholders or prospective shareholders.
Yeah, thank you very much for your support. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
And with that, have a good day, everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you.